What's up guys, it's Tom here and welcome to a brand new football news video, and it has been reported by Nick Harris, who I have a lot of respect for. He's a great journalist, and also the Mail on Sunday, that Manchester City and Newcastle are being looked at by the European Commission for state aid funding, which are illegal under the 2023 legislation that came into force last year, and they are facing an investigation conducted by the European Commission. The Mail on Sunday is reporting that the investigation is over alleged breaches of new rules over state subsidies. So let me know, do you think Man City will actually get finally punished by the Premier League or the European Commission for 115 rule breaches of financial fair play rules in the Premier League, or over this owner state subsidies that they got over the years? Let me know in the comments below, and if you are happy about this news, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new around here. And Manchester City and Newcastle are facing this investigation by the European Commission over alleged breaches of these new 2023 rules over state subsidies. The Commission have confirmed to the newspaper The Mail on Sunday that they have received complaints against the two clubs from multiple parties concerning new rules designed to prevent state aid from distorting markets across the continent, because the amount of money that was injected into Manchester City and Newcastle United, but mainly Manchester City, because Newcastle are looking to play by the rules. It looks like they are looking to not breach financial fair play rules because they are afraid of serious punishment. Man City have already breached financial fair play rules hundreds of times, so they are not really afraid of punishment, even though the Man City will get punished, in my opinion, by the Premier League. The big question is what kind of punishment that will be, how harsh the punishment that will be. But considering Everton got a 10-point deduction for one rule breach, and Nottingham Forest are also being investigated for a similar offence to Everton, if the Premier League punish Everton and if they punish Nottingham Forest, they have to come down very, very harshly on Manchester City. Otherwise, their competition rules will be a joke, and no club will respect it, and you can't have that. This is a significant political development and a significant, very big, serious development, because Man City have always maintained that the club are a personal venture of Sheikh Mansour, who is a member of the ruling family of Abu Dhabi and the deputy prime minister of the United Arab Emirates, Saudi's public investment fund, who own 80% of Newcastle, and they are chaired by the ruler of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman. They have always claimed to be an impartial, independent investment entity, but everybody knows that it's a load of rubbish. Basically, the United Arab Emirates, the ruler of the country, is controlling Manchester City, and the ruler of Saudi Arabia is controlling Newcastle United. The complaints are likely to focus on whether Man City may in fact be controlled by the state of United Arab Emirates. I think that's without question, and that Newcastle are a Saudi Arabian state tool. I mean, there are loads of examples of that and loads of proof of that. The biggest one, I think, is that Saudi Arabia played 2 friendlies at the Newcastle United Stadium during a recent international break in 2023. I mean, how is that even possible if Newcastle are not a Saudi Arabian state tool? A well-informed source with knowledge of the Premier League's financial and legal frameworks told the Mail on Sunday that Newcastle are being looked at by the European Commission, and Manchester City are being investigated as well, following complaints that state funding of these clubs have been seriously distorting European markets, in this case in the football industry. And the newspaper asked the Commission about this investigation, and they said, "We can confirm receipt of submissions regarding football clubs, including UK clubs, which we are investigating and assessing. The foreign subsidies regulation addresses distortions caused by financial contributions granted by non-European Union governments to companies engaging in an economic activity in the European Union internal market. Even though Great Britain left the European Union after the Brexit vote, the Premier League clubs are still covered by the foreign subsidies regulation. And the European Commission say, in recent years, foreign subsidies appear to have distorted the European Union's internal market, including by providing their recipients with an unfair advantage to acquire companies or obtain public contracts in the European Union to the detriment of fair competition. And that's the bottom line. Getting state funding into specific particular football clubs is illegal on the European Commission because it distorts the market and it's to the detriment of fair competition. How is it a fair competition? How can be a fair competition in the Premier League and in the football industry when only a very few, just a handful of clubs have access to state funding? And the state funding definitely is illegal in the Premier League, but somehow, because of political contracts and political contacts of these clubs, these ownership deals were allowed to go through. And I will tell you why. The United Kingdom has massive billion-pound contracts with Saudi Arabia, selling them weapons, and they are fighting wars where innocent people are killed with those weapons. So the United Kingdom is dirty as well with these contracts, and they basically, Saudi Arabia just told the UK government that either you let us buy Newcastle United or we are pulling these contracts and we are not going to do deals with you, and we can hurt you politically because Saudi Arabia have a lot of investment in the United Kingdom, just like the United Arab Emirates. United Arab Emirates, again, one of the richest countries in the world, they have a lot of investment in the United Kingdom. They have a lot of big contracts and they own a lot of big corporations, a lot of big buildings and a lot of big companies, and they can hurt the United Kingdom a lot. Financially, politically. So probably they put pressure on the UK government to let Manchester City be taken over by the United Arab Emirates. And that's why football and the Premier League was never the same after the Chelsea ownership went through, after the Man City ownership went through, after the Newcastle ownership went through. I much more prefer the German model where fans own 50+1% of all the football clubs except Leipzig, and that's why Leipzig are pretty much the most hated club in Germany as well by rival fans. But that model is a lot more likable to me because the fans are the people who make the big decisions at football clubs. And for example, the Bayern Munich fans protested when either Qatar or Saudi Arabia company wanted to sponsor Bayern Munich and Bayern wanted to accept the money, but the fans were protesting it. And I think that's a very, very good model to have. And the Mail on Sunday is also saying that it has not been confirmed who actually made the complaints against Manchester City and Newcastle. City Football Group, Manchester City's parent company, were the subject of a complaint in Belgium over alleged state funding of the Belgian club Lommel SK. Local regulators said there was no case to answer it as it was passed up to the European Commission to consider. It's likely there has been a complaint about Manchester City and Newcastle from La Liga now that this European Commission and the new 2023 rules are up and running. La Liga president Javier Tebas has long been a big critic of the state-funded clubs, Manchester City and Newcastle. La Liga, of course, declined to comment, although they confirmed recently they had made a formal complaint to the European Commission about state aid unfairly helping Paris Saint-Germain, who are in effect owned and funded by the government of Qatar. Manchester City's rise to the top of English and European football has unsettled numerous other clubs. They have won 7 Premier League titles, 3 FA Cups, 6 League Cups and the Champions League since 2008. So that's a huge trophy cabinet thanks to state funding of the United Arab Emirates. Newcastle also have been among the top spenders in Europe since the Saudi Arabia takeover. In October 2021, they spent more than £400 million on a lot of players, and Newcastle are doing it a little bit in a more sustainable way than Manchester City have done it under, of course, their Abu Dhabi owners. And Nick Harris is also reporting that the European Commission are also considering whether Paris Saint-Germain have breached the new foreign subsidies regulation, which has recently came into force over Qatar bankrolling Paris Saint-Germain. And it's interesting that the European Commission are looking at this issue, if only to confirm on the record that they are engaging with the complaints. State interference is a thing in Europe, and therefore state interference in sports football industry is also a thing, and probably a big problem as well. And what is very interesting is that if the European Commission could maybe demand that all illegal support of Manchester City and Newcastle has to be paid back to their owners, which are the countries of the United Arab Emirates in the case of Man City, or Saudi Arabia in the case of Newcastle, that would actually bankrupt Manchester City, and they would go bust, and they would have absolutely no money left, because if Man City had to pay back all of the money that the owners directly funneled into Manchester City, that would be probably even more money than what the club is actually worth or right now, or maybe like not as much, but it would definitely bankrupt Man City, and they would have to sell all of their best players. And a good framework for actually looking at the impact of state intervention into club ownership in football, predatory behavior and distortion of competition, those are actually a good frameworks to look into this. And if a foreign state-owned club maker put a European Union-based chip maker, for example, if you are a company who make chips, if a foreign state-owned chip maker puts a European Union based chip maker out of business through predatory pricing, that would be illegal under the European Commission and under European Union laws. So why is it allowed in the football industry? So what do you think about this? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear your opinion on what do you think about this story. I just wanted to highlight it. And also really interesting breaking news that Nottingham Forest have potentially broken the profit and sustainability rules that Everton broke and got punished by a 10-point deduction. And I mean, Manchester City should be relegated to non-league football and stripped of all of their titles. If Everton get a 10-point deduction, then Man City should get hundreds of points deducted from them. Nottingham Forest have responded to these claims that they have potentially broken the profit and sustainability rules. Nottingham Forest are more at risk of breaking these rules after revised FFP regulations, financial fair play regulations, have brought in for this season after they signed 43 players since they got promoted from the championship. That's a staggering amount in just free transfer windows. That is absolutely crazy. That's almost 15 players signed per transfer window since they got promoted from the championship. Under the new rules, all clubs had to submit accounts for the 22-23 season by December the 31st. Any subsequent charges will be announced by January 14th, with sanctions for clubs found to be in breach due from an independent commission by April the 8th. Nottingham Forest have appointed a leading sports lawyer to fight the Premier League claims, insisting they have fully complied with their obligations. Under the new amended financial fair play rules in the Premier League, clubs can only make a maximum loss of £105 million over a rolling 3-year period, which is £35 million per season. If a club has been in the English Football League during those 3 years, as Nottingham Forest were, the amount of losses are allowed are even smaller. However, club sports spokesman for Nottingham Forest said the club has fully complied with its reporting obligations in respect of the Premier League's revised profit and sustainability rules. Promotion to the Premier League will always create challenges, and the treatment of promotion bonuses is just one example. The club approaches all these challenges with its long-term financial sustainability firmly in mind, as the Premier League rules intended. It is understood that a key part of Nottingham Forest's defence will revolve around the club record sale of Brennan Johnson to Tottenham for £47.5 million on a deadline day last summer, because they want to, of course, they want to comply with financial fair play rules. So Nottingham Forest are sailing very close to the limit according to these reports, and it will be fascinating to see whether Nottingham Forest also get a point deduction. But if Everton and Nottingham Forest and these smaller clubs are getting point deductions, then Manchester City should get huge point deductions and even get relegated to non-league football. That would be the fair and just and proportional punishment compared to what Everton and Nottingham Forest are getting punished for. The Man City financial fair play rule breaches are 100 times worse than what Everton or Nottingham Forest allegedly did. That's my opinion. Let me know what is yours in the comments below, and thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. Have a nice day. See you later. Goodbye.